The lion doesn't concern itself with the opinion of sheep. It's too busy ruling the savannah. You, yes, you, the chosen one. You are not ordinary. You are not merely born to exist. You are destined to rise. You might not have asked for this, but here you are. The weight of it, the fire of it, the relentless storms, it's all on you. Why? Because the world decided you're the one who must rise. You didn't stumble into this role. You weren't handed a golden ticket. No, you were dragged, pushed and thrown into the furnace of life, and somehow you're still here, still breathing, still fighting. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. Think about it. The strongest steel isn't found lying around in some pristine state. It's forged in heat so intense most would crumble. That's you. Every scar, every loss, every impossible situation was shaping you. The fire didn't consume you. It made you unbreakable. Look at history. Look at history. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest basketball player because he never failed. He did. He was cut from his high school team, missed countless game-winning shots, but every setback became his fuel. "I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed," he said. Or think of Oprah Winfrey. Fired from her first television job, told she didn't have what it takes, yet she built an empire that reshaped media forever. She took every rejection and turned it into the foundation of her success. Malala Yousafzai, shot for daring to stand up for education, didn't stop. She became a symbol of courage for millions. You are cut from the same cloth. You are proof that resilience isn't a gift. It's a weapon sharpened by adversity. You've felt the punches, haven't you? Life's hardest hits that would knock anyone else down for good. But not you. You didn't just take the hit. You smiled through the blood and asked, "Is that all you've got?" That's why they can't beat you. You're not invincible, you're unstoppable. Picture this, a tree growing through concrete. Against all odds, it cracks the pavement, reaches for the sun, and thrives. That's what you are. The world tried to bury you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. This isn't just about surviving. No, survival is the bare minimum. You are here to dominate, to show the world that no matter what they throw your way, you'll turn it into fuel. Remember what Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." You've been punched over and over, and yet here you stand, rewriting the rules as you go. You, the chosen one, are not a myth. You're proof that greatness doesn't wait for permission. It grabs you by the collar, shoves you into the storm, and dares you to fight your way out. And you did. So, let this sink in. They can doubt you. They can try to break you. But they'll learn the hard way that you don't stay down. The fire didn't burn you. It forged you. The weight didn't crush you. It built you. And now, the world isn't ready for what's next. Because you, the chosen one, can't be beaten. And thank you. Yes, you, the chosen one. Whether this is your first step into this space or you've been standing strong with us from the start, know this. Your presence and super gifts are the heartbeat of this mission. You're here for a reason, because you're ready to rise, to claim your strength, and to show the world what unshakable looks like. So, let's make this moment count. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs to shake off the limits placed on them. Drop a 77 in the comments if you're ready to turn your solitude into the foundation of your ultimate transformation. The world is watching, and it's time to show them why you can't be beat. Let's dive in. Number 1. The price of carrying the crown. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. That's you, the chosen one. The world might think your life is charmed, like being unbeatable is some kind of gift. But you and I both know the truth. It's a burden so crushing that most people wouldn't last a day carrying it. Let's be real. They see your victories, your strength, your rise, and they call it greatness. But do they ever stop to ask what it took to get there? No. They don't see the sleepless nights when doubt sinks its claws into you, the sacrifices that pile up so high they feel like a mountain on your back. They don't see the lonely moments when it feels like you're fighting battles no one else could ever understand. They only see the outcome, the glory, and then they demand more. You've felt it, haven't you? Every success you achieve isn't a celebration. It's a new bar set higher. You win, and instead of rest, the world gives you more weight to carry. You fight to keep going, and instead of gratitude, they wait for you to fall. That's the cost of being unbeatable. You're not just expected to rise, you're expected to stay at the top, no matter how high the stakes or how heavy the load. And let's not forget the brutal truth. People don't root for the unbeatable forever. They start looking for cracks. They cheer when you win, but part of them secretly hopes to see you stumble. Why? Because your strength reminds them of their weakness. You, standing tall, become a target for every insecurity they've buried deep inside. It's unfair, isn't it? But deep down, you already know why you keep going. You weren't made for an easy road. You've been forged in fire, just like the strongest steel. Every trial, every setback, every time life tried to break you, you didn't just survive. You came back stronger. When others crumbled, you dug in deeper. When others gave up, you pushed forward. I know you've asked yourself, why me? Why do I have to carry this weight? Because you can. You've proven it over and over again. Being unbeatable doesn't mean you don't feel the pain or the pressure. It means you refuse to let it break you. It means you take everything life throws at you and turn it into fuel. And that's why the world can't stop watching you. You're not just a winner, you're a force. They might wait for you to falter, but every time they think they've seen the end of you, you show them what unstoppable really looks like. So here you are, chosen one. The weight is heavy, yes, but it's yours. The fire didn't burn you, it forged you. And every step you take, no matter how hard, is proof that being unbeatable isn't a curse. It's your calling. You're not just carrying the crown, you are the crown. And they'll learn one way or another that you can't be beaten. Number 2, winning isn't glory, it's survival. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Ralph Waldo Emerson. You, the chosen one. The world might see your victories and call you unbeatable, but you know the truth. It's not about winning. It's about surviving. The applause, the trophies, the admiration, they're just noise. What truly matters is that you're still here, still breathing, still standing, even when everything tried to bury you. Winning for you isn't shiny or glamorous. It's dragging yourself out of the trenches, clawing through battles that would destroy anyone else, and somehow, some way, emerging on the other side. You've been bruised, you've been broken, but you've never been beaten. That's what sets you apart. Not the absence of scars, but the sheer number of them, and your refusal to let them define you. Let's be honest, the world doesn't understand. They call you strong because they see you rise, but they never see the moments you've spent doubting yourself, questioning why you keep fighting, wondering if it's worth it. They don't see the nights when sleep is a stranger, your mind racing with everything you've endured and everything that still lies ahead. To them, survival looks like glory. To you, it's simply what you have to do. The truth is, they don't know what it costs. Every so-called victory you've achieved has come with a price. Your body has taken the hits, your mind has absorbed the doubts, and your soul carries the weight of every scar. It's not strength that keeps you going, it's something far darker. Stubbornness, maybe. Desperation, definitely. An unshakable refusal to let life or fate decide when it's over. And that's why you're different. When others give up because the pain is too much, you dig deeper. You push forward, dragging yourself through hell if that's what it takes. Talent didn't get you here. Skill didn't make you the chosen one. It's your ability to endure, longer, harder, and deeper than anyone else. Winning for you isn't about being perfect. It's not about never falling. It's about getting back up every single time, no matter how impossible it seems. Others might fall and stay down, but not you. You don't stop because stopping isn't an option. You survive, not because you want to, but because it's who you are. So here you are, scarred but standing. They might call it glory, but you know better. This isn't some fairy tale with a neat, happy ending. This is your life, your battle, your truth. Survival is what makes you unbeatable. Not the applause or the accolades, but the simple, relentless fact that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you get back up. And that's why they can't beat you. You don't need perfection. You don't need approval. You only need to outlast everything that tries to stop you. And you will, because you already have. Again and again, until there's no one left standing but you. Number 3, enemies aren't obstacles, they're fuel. The stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. You, the chosen one. You've faced them, enemies, doubters, challengers. They think they can stop you, break you, stand in your way. But you know better, don't you? Enemies aren't obstacles to you. They're stepping stones, fuel for the fire that makes you unstoppable. Every time someone tries to block your path, they're giving you something priceless, momentum. While most people waste energy resenting their obstacles, you've learned to embrace them. You've stopped seeing enemies as threats and started seeing them for what they really are, opportunities. Think about it. Every opponent, every critic, every battle teaches you something new. They think they're tearing you down, but they're really building you up. Resistance isn't your enemy, it's your training ground. Like a blade sharpened on a whetstone, you become stronger, sharper, and more precise with every strike against you. Their opposition doesn't drain you, it charges you. The truth is, you don't run from conflict because you've figured out something most people never will. Strength is born from resistance. The harder the push against you, the more powerful your rise. Every time someone tries to take you down, you don't just endure, you grow. You learn their tactics, understand their motives, and refine your own abilities. Each battle is a lesson, a stepping stone towards something even greater. Here's the irony. The people who think they're holding you back are the ones propelling you forward. Every insult, every doubt, every attempt to break you is like tossing gasoline onto a fire. Instead of extinguishing your spark, it turns it into an inferno. Their hate becomes your focus. Their underestimation becomes your advantage. And it doesn't stop there. You don't just survive your enemies, you master them. If they stand in your way, you use them as tools to climb higher. If they try to beat you, they're teaching you how to win the next fight even faster. Pressure doesn't crush you, it refines you. Every setback becomes a setup for your next victory. Let's face it, your enemies think they're writing your defeat, but they're really contributing to the story of your rise. Every time they try to pull you down, you climb higher. Every time they throw a punch, they're strengthening the very foundation they hope to crack. You've figured it out, haven't you? The harder they push, the further you go. Enemies aren't your downfall, they're part of the process. They think they're obstacles, but they're just the resistance that sharpens your edge. So let them come, let them doubt, let them push. All they're doing is adding more power to the unstoppable force that is you. The chosen one doesn't crumble under pressure, they transform it into fuel. And in the end, every enemy, every challenge, every so-called obstacle will simply be another stepping stone on your path to greatness. Number 4, rules don't apply to you. You, the chosen one. You don't play by the rules because the rules were never made for you. While everyone else lives inside a predictable structure, what they can and can't do, what's fair or unfair, what's possible or impossible. You've always known you don't fit into their framework. The limits they cling to don't apply to you. It's not because you cheat the system, it's because you rewrite it. When others hit a wall, they stop and accept it, not you. You find the cracks in the wall and push until it crumbles. When the door is locked, you don't wait for someone to hand you a key. You break it down. And when someone tells you something can't be done, you take it as a personal challenge to prove them wrong. Here's the truth. Fairness is for those who settle, those who accept what they're told. You don't wait for permission. You don't care about validation. Your willpower is so relentless that even reality bends in your favor. Not because of luck, but because you refuse to accept anything less. You've heard it before, haven't you? That's impossible. You can't do that. Those words don't stop you, they ignite you. Where most people see barriers, you see opportunities. Where they see dead ends, you see new beginnings. The rules that others live by are irrelevant to you because you don't just step outside the box. They've never been able to keep you in one. And it's not arrogance, is it? This isn't about entitlement or ego. This is about inevitability. You don't want to win, you have to. It's not a choice, it's who you are. Your drive isn't fueled by a desire for applause or recognition. It's powered by the absolute certainty that limits are meant to be shattered. The truth is, the rules don't work for you because normal was never meant to contain you. You don't hesitate where others falter. You don't stop where others settle. You push forward with a relentlessness that defies logic, reason, and doubt. And where others fail, you succeed. Not because the path was clear, but because you refused to believe it was impossible. You don't just exist outside the rules. You redefine what's possible for everyone else. Every boundary you break, every limit you shatter, becomes a blueprint for those who come after you. People call it extraordinary, but to you, it's just life. So let them say you're unreasonable. Let them cling to their rules. While they wait for permission, you're already miles ahead, creating new paths where none existed before. You don't need their approval. You don't need their rules. Because you, the chosen one, have always known one undeniable truth. The world doesn't define you. You define it. Number 5. Unbeatable doesn't mean unbreakable. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. You, the chosen one. People look at you and think you don't falter, that you're some unshakable force. But you and I both know the truth. Being unbeatable doesn't mean you don't bleed. It doesn't mean you're invincible. It means you've learned to rise every single time the world knocks you down. You've stumbled. You've felt the sting of failure, the crushing weight of exhaustion, the sharp edge of humiliation. You've been hurt, broken even. But what sets you apart isn't that you've avoided the pain. It's that you've faced it head-on. Others let defeat define them, but not you. For you, defeat isn't an end. It's the beginning of something bigger. Every fall is a lesson, a spark, a chance to rebuild yourself stronger, sharper, and more relentless than before. You don't wallow in failure because you see it for what it truly is, a stepping stone to success. While others crumble under the weight of their losses, you dissect them. You find the cracks, sharpen your skills, and fortify your will, ensuring that the same mistake never happens twice. What makes you unbeatable isn't some magical invulnerability. It's your refusal to quit, no matter how brutal the fight becomes. Pain doesn't stop you. Setbacks don't stop you. Even at your lowest, when everything has been stripped away, you find a way to rise. You rebuild, piece by piece, until you're stronger than you ever were. And here's the thing, you don't fear failure. You embrace it. You understand that the path to greatness is paved with wounds, scars, and bruises. Others avoid the fire, but you walk straight through it, knowing the flames won't destroy you, they'll forge you. Every loss becomes a launch pad for a victory no one else could have predicted. Being unbeatable isn't about perfection. It's not about avoiding the fight or walking away unscathed. It's about surviving, enduring and rising, no matter how many times life tries to knock you out. You know the truth. Greatness comes at a price, and you're willing to pay it. People might not understand how you keep going. They might think you're fearless, but you know better. Fear is there. Pain is there. But your resolve is greater. It's not about being invincible. It's about outlasting the world's attempts to break you. You've been through hell, and yet you stand. That's what makes you unbeatable. You don't need perfection to win. You only need the will to rise again and again. The world can throw its hardest punches, but it will never keep you down. Because you, the chosen one, don't just survive, you thrive. And no matter how many times the fire burns you, you will walk through it, emerging stronger every single time. That's why you can't be beaten. Number 6. Chosen not by luck, but by sacrifice. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. You, the chosen one. The world loves to call it luck, don't they? They look at where you are, what you've achieved, and they say, must be nice. But you know the truth. You weren't chosen by chance, by some cosmic accident. You were chosen by sacrifice, by every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears you've poured into becoming who you are. Luck didn't get you here. Luck doesn't endure the sleepless nights, the grinding hours, the relentless battles that no one else sees. Luck doesn't survive loss, heartbreak, or failure. Luck doesn't keep showing up when the world seems determined to knock you down. You didn't stumble into this role. You built it, brick by brick, with sacrifices most people wouldn't dare to make. Every step of your journey has cost you something. Maybe it was time you could have spent on easier paths, but instead you chose to climb. Maybe it was relationships, connections that couldn't handle the weight of your purpose. Or maybe it was comfort, the luxury of taking the easy road that was never an option for you. Sacrifice is the currency of greatness, and you've been paying the price for as long as you can remember. While others were taking shortcuts, you were in the trenches. While they were sleeping, you were working. And while they complained about the weight of their own excuses, you were carrying the burden of your calling. Think about it. Does anyone really believe you got here without scars? Every win, every breakthrough, every step forward, it all came with a cost. You've faced decisions that would paralyze most people. Do you keep going when everything in you wants to stop? Do you rise again after falling harder than you thought possible? And yet, here you are. Not because it was easy, but because you refused to quit. Not because someone handed it to you, but because you were willing to give up what others wouldn't. Sacrifice doesn't just shape the chosen ones, it defines them. Every no you've said to distractions, every yes to discomfort, every moment of pain and perseverance, it's all brought you here. They don't see that, do they? They see the outcome, the success, the strength, but they don't see the cost. They don't see the sleepless nights, the broken pieces, the endless grind that made you. They don't see the sacrifices you've made to become unbeatable, and that's the difference. Luck fades. Talent alone can only take you so far. But sacrifice is eternal. It's the foundation of everything you are and everything you'll become. You weren't chosen because it was easy. You were chosen because you could handle what others couldn't. So stand tall, chosen one. You weren't born into this by chance, and it wasn't handed to you on a silver platter. You earned it, every single piece of it, through sacrifice. And that's why they'll never take it away. You weren't chosen by luck. You were chosen because you paid the price no one else dared to pay. Number 7. Your power reflects the world back at them. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. You, the chosen one. Your power is more than strength or resilience. It's a mirror. Every person who crosses your path sees themselves reflected in you. That's what shakes them, challenges them, and sometimes even breaks them. Your power doesn't just inspire, it forces people to confront who they really are. Think about it. When people look at you, they don't just see your victories. They see everything they've avoided, the risks they didn't take, the effort they didn't put in, the strength they never knew how to find. Your presence alone stirs something in them. To those who are willing to grow, you're a source of hope and inspiration. To those who fear their own potential, you're a reminder of everything they could have been. That's why some people admire you and others resent you. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what you make them feel about themselves. Your power holds up a mirror, showing them their reflection in the sharpest light possible. And let's face it, not everyone is ready to see that. But you didn't ask to be a mirror, did you? You didn't wake up one day and decide to make people uncomfortable. Your power isn't a choice. It's the result of everything you've endured, everything you've fought for, and everything you've become. You're not trying to be anyone's reflection. You're simply living your truth. And that truth, it's unshakable. Some people will run from the mirror you hold up. They'll attack you, doubt you, even try to tear you down. Why? Because it's easier to blame you than to face themselves. It's easier to call you intimidating, unrelatable, or even lucky, rather than admit they're afraid of their own potential. But here's the thing, they need that reflection. The world needs it. Your power doesn't just show people their shortcomings, it shows them their possibilities. It forces them to see that the limits they thought were real were never there at all. And whether they love you for it or hate you for it, they can't deny it. You've changed them simply by being who you are. Your power isn't just about what you've done, it's about what you make possible for others. You're not just a reflection of their struggles, you're a glimpse of their greatness. The ones who are ready will see it, and they'll grow because of it. The ones who aren't ready, well, they'll either run or fight, but deep down, even they know your power isn't the problem. It's the truth it reveals. So keep going, chosen one. Let them see themselves in you. Let your power hold up the mirror, no matter how uncomfortable it makes them. Because in the end, your reflection isn't just a challenge, it's a gift. It shows the world what's possible, and that's a power they can never ignore. Number 8. Victory sits on a lonely throne. It's lonely at the top, but the view is worth it. Arnold Schwarzenegger, You, the chosen one. The world sees your victories, your achievements, your rise to the top, and they think it's a dream come true. But you know better, don't you? Victory isn't a celebration with confetti and cheers. It's a lonely throne, high above where most people are willing or able to climb. People love to talk about success, about reaching the summit, but they rarely talk about what it feels like when you get there. The sacrifices, the isolation, the weight of being the one who made it. It all hits different when you're alone with the crown you fought so hard to wear. At first, victory feels like validation. It's proof that all the blood, sweat, and tears weren't wasted. But the higher you climb, the quieter it gets. The crowds that once cheered grow smaller. The people who said they had your back start to fade away. Some leave out of jealousy. Others leave because they can't keep up. And some, they were never really with you to begin with. You've felt it, haven't you? The hollow ache that comes with realizing not everyone is built for your path. The friends who don't understand your sacrifices, the family who questions why you keep pushing, the people who love the idea of your success but can't handle the reality of it. They don't see the price you've paid. They don't understand that victory isn't just about winning, it's about surviving the isolation that comes with it. The truth is, being at the top isn't glamorous. It's a constant balancing act between pride in what you've achieved and the loneliness of knowing few will ever understand what it took to get there. You're not just carrying your victories, you're carrying the weight of expectations, the burden of always having to prove that you belong. And yet, you wouldn't trade it, would you? Because you've learned that the lonely throne isn't a punishment, it's a privilege. The view from the top is one only the chosen ones get to see. It's a reminder that you've done what others couldn't or wouldn't. You've endured the fire, the battles, the sacrifices, and come out stronger. Yes, it's lonely, but that's what makes it yours. You don't sit on the throne because someone handed it to you. You earned it step by brutal step, and no one can take that from you. The silence at the top, it's the sound of everything you've overcome. So let them misunderstand you. Let them think victory is all glamour and glory. You know the truth. Victory is a lonely throne, but it's yours. And while the world may never fully understand the weight you carry, they'll always feel the power of what you've built. Stand tall, chosen one. The throne may be lonely, but it's exactly where you're meant to be. Because the top isn't just a destination, it's the proof that you can't be beaten. Number 9. You rewrite the rules of the game. The most powerful story you will ever tell is the one you tell yourself. You, the chosen one. You weren't born into the script they wrote for you. You didn't fit into their boxes, play by their rules, or settle for their version of how things are supposed to be. No, you're here because you tore up their story and wrote your own. You rewrite the narrative, not just for yourself, but for everyone watching. Think about it. They tried to label you, didn't they? Told you who you could be, how far you could go, what you could achieve. Maybe they said you were too much or not enough, that you should stay in your lane. But what they didn't realize is that you don't follow their rules. You don't live by their limits. Instead, you looked at their expectations and said, "Watch me." That's what makes you different. Most people live their lives according to a script someone else handed them. But you saw the script for what it was, a cage. And instead of letting it define you, you burned it. Every step you've taken, every battle you've fought, every victory you've earned has been a line in the story you're writing for yourself. It hasn't been easy, has it? Rewriting the narrative means confronting every lie they've told you about who you are and what you're capable of. It means breaking free from the opinions of people who never believed in you. It means taking control of a pen they never wanted you to hold. But that's why you're here, because you refuse to let them decide your story. You've rewritten what it means to succeed, to endure, to thrive. They said you couldn't rise after you fell, but you got back up. They said you couldn't win against impossible odds, but you did. They said you had to fit into their version of success, but you proved that their version was too small for you. Every time they doubted you, every time they underestimated you, you didn't just survive, you flipped the script. You turned their doubt into motivation, their rejection into redirection. The story they tried to write for you? It became the fuel that drove you to write something greater. Here's the truth. The chosen ones don't just break rules, they create new ones. Your story isn't just yours. It's a blueprint for anyone who's ever felt trapped by the narrative handed to them. You're living proof that the rules don't matter, that the limits they set don't apply, and that the only story worth telling is the one you write yourself. So keep writing, chosen one. Let them watch, let them doubt, let them whisper about how you're doing things differently. They don't have to understand, because this isn't their story. It's yours. And every word you write, every victory you claim, every boundary you shatter is proof that you don't just live in the narrative. You rewrite it. The world will remember your story, not because it followed their rules, but because it broke them. Keep writing. You're just getting started. Number 10. Failure isn't the end. It's your fuel. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. You, the chosen one. The world fears failure like it's the end of everything, but not you. You've been there, fallen flat, hit rock bottom, watched your efforts crumble. But where others see failure as a wall, you see it for what it truly is: fuel. Failure doesn't define you, it refines you. It's not a mark of shame, but a spark that ignites your next move. Every time you've stumbled, every time you've fallen short, it wasn't the end of your story. It was the start of something stronger. Failure isn't a stop sign for you. It's a detour, a reminder that the path forward is still yours to forge. Think about it. Every lesson you've learned, every skill you've sharpened, every ounce of resilience you've built, it all came from moments that didn't go as planned. While others crumble under the weight of their mistakes, you rise because you understand something they don't. Failure isn't final. It's just another step in the climb. They don't see that, do they? They see the wins, the strength, the victories, but not the falls it took to get there. But you know the truth. Every failure has made you sharper, tougher, and more determined. Every setback has been a setup for your next breakthrough. So don't fear failure. Welcome it. Let it teach you, strengthen you, and fuel you. Because for the chosen ones, failure isn't a defeat. It's the fire that forges greatness. And every time you rise from it, you remind the world that you can't be beaten. Number 11. Your legacy is greater than your battles. What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. You, the chosen one. You've fought battles that would destroy most people. You've faced trials that felt insurmountable, endured losses that cut deeper than words can describe. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Your legacy isn't defined by those battles. It's defined by what you build from them. Every fight, every scar, every moment you thought you couldn't go on. They've shaped you, yes, but they don't define you. Your legacy is bigger than the pain you've endured. It's in how you've turned that pain into purpose, how you've taken every setback and used it as a stepping stone to something greater. Think about it. The battles may have marked your path, but they're not the destination. Your victories? They're not just about you. They're about the people watching you, the lives you've inspired, the barriers you've broken for those who will follow. Every time you rise, you prove to the world that resilience is possible. Your legacy isn't just survival, it's impact. It's the ripple effect of your choices, your strength, your refusal to back down. The world may remember your battles, but what will truly endure is the way you made others believe in their own power. So don't get lost in the fight. Lift your head and see the bigger picture. Your legacy is the story of a chosen one who refused to be beaten, who turned struggle into strength, and who left the world better than they found it. Your battles are part of your journey, but your legacy, that's eternal, and it's yours to define. And here's the truth. Being chosen isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. You've faced storms, carried burdens, and turned pain into power. You didn't just survive, you thrived, leaving a mark the world can't ignore. Now, it's your turn to spread this message. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a wake-up call. Drop 77 in the comments if you're ready to embrace the journey, own your power, and step fully into your purpose. Remember, the world may not always understand you, but they'll never be able to stop you. Let's rise together.